everyone. I'm Shanti. How are you all this evening? This not so cold evening, right? A little bit better today. So thank you for coming in person. And of course, I salute our Zoomers upstairs. How are you, Zoom people? And so don't think you're, just because we're single digits in person, we're probably about 25 up there or so. So, yeah. Anyway, tonight's interesting. We're going to talk about love. So if I asked you to define love, I mean, of course, scholars have been talking about this for centuries and millennia. And what is it? Just throw out anything. What is it? You've been here before? Once, right? And I forgot your name. Jane, hi. And this is Julie, right? I'm blanking. Vera, of course. Okay, well, you're the seasoned pro here, so I'm going to hand you the mic because they're relatively new. What is it? Do you have it? Are you loving? You don't want to do it. You want to take a stab? Hey, Jane, see? One time here. She's raring to go. Okay. I have to give you the mic so the Zoomers can hear you. Okay.
I think I've come to learn that love, I've always thought love was a word that you had to say in order to mean it. But then I realized that love is truly a verb, and it's what you do for someone and what they do for you that makes you feel loved and safe and content.
This is Julie.
For me, I guess I never really thought about what it actually means, and it's hard to put into words, I think. So it's a feeling, I think, that you have for many things, not just people. Yeah.
Let's talk about people for a second. I know it's not just all about people. Of course it's not, right? But we get married because we've met a soulmate, right? People upstairs, Zoom. We met our soulmate. And we have about 3 months of what I call the honeymoon. I've had it twice. But the second one lasted 44 years. You know why? 44 years, March 2nd. Because I came here. And I learned how to be loving, more loving than I was with the first guy. I was also a kid then. You know, you need practice before you get it right, right? So we have this wonderful feeling when we meet someone and they're our soulmate. And then what happens? The divorce rate is over 50% for many, I think a couple of decades now. What happens? What goes wrong? Just shout it out. What happens? Huh? They drive you crazy. I once had a professor, I have a degree in marriage and family counseling and all that fun stuff, but I taught English, don't ask. So, and she said, you marry someone because you love that they're quiet and you're not. You love, and then you grow to hate them for it. Will you say something? I marry quiet men. Yeah, it's true, right? So we marry our opposites. What else goes wrong? I mean, you know, half of it gets divorced. What do you think? What happens after that honeymoon? I mean, the 3-month or year honeymoon. The little things. Your internal issue. They do. So you have a gun and it triggers. You said that? You did that? How dare you? What part of you is talking that inside of you? We talk a lot here about the ego. I don't deserve to be spoken to that way. How dare you? You didn't talk to me like that when we were dating, right? Okay, so there's all kinds of complicated stuff that we're going to talk about tonight, okay? And we'll see if we can come to some conclusions, not about what it really is only, although Brother Tony, right there, wave Tony, okay, he is an architect in New York City. You've seen him here before if you've been here before. And he is brilliant. I will say that and embarrass you. Are you turning pink, at least? Okay. He is. And he has a very, now I think it's very interesting that Tony and I are we talked about this, opposites. To me, love is a feeling. To Tony, love is something to be explained and understood. And what else? Give me an adjective that you like. Experienced, of course. And you can write about it. But I know that I used to think I was loving when I wasn't. And again, that's what I've learned here. I'm a big walking commercial. I'm the poster child for Brahma Kumaris. Did you know that? This is Sister Kamla, who's visiting us from Peace Village. Peace Village is our retreat center at upstate New York. It's beautiful. Yeah, I went there for the first time 20 years ago. Anyway, back on track. Brother Tony, I'm going to invite you to come on up, and I'm going to be with Tony, and we're going to, without getting into a fist fight, we're going to define love and talk about love, compassion, and balance. Okay? All right, come. So,
Is it working all right? Yes, it's working.
I'm not.
Yes, it's working. It's working now.
Okay, how is the volume? Is it close enough?
Now put it closer. Put it a little closer.
Really close. Good? Ooh, hello. Has a mind of its own there. This good? This good?
Yes, that's good.
Now, can I sit back? Bring it up? What? Is this good? I don't hear feedback, so. Okay. Good. A little closer. She says closer. Yeah.
Yeah, just move it closer. Move the whole thing. Don't
I touched it.
just move the whole thing.
Hit my nose. Okay, is this good? It's not as loud as it was. It needs. Can you fix the volume up there? You want me to hold it in my hand? Use the hand mic? Thank you. That's much easier. Okay, let's start this again. Okay. Yeah. Ah, relief. Blessed relief. Okay. Hi.
Who?
So, what is this thing called love, Tony?
Well, it sounds like the beginning of a song. We were discussing this before, obviously, and because this is a very big subject, but one of the things about this particular area is that love is one of those things that doesn't have a kind of hard definition. It's kind of something that everybody relates to, but it's very hard to kind of pin down. I think we had discussing this before, and Louise was saying you can't dissect love, because it tends to be like a frog. You dissect it and it dies, So you have to be, be kind of conscious that you're really talking about something that's very difficult to break into pieces. So it's an accretion, I guess. So to me, the whole notion of love has to be something that happens outside of yourself that brings you into it. Something that kind of draws you into a dynamic, a relationship with a person, or relationship with sometimes relationship with ideas. So something that brings you into itself in a kind of comprehensive, holistic way. It's not something that this this is this, put it together. It doesn't work that way. It comes together. And the one thing about it that's kind of really extraordinary is that it happens on its own, and then you realize, okay, I have it. I have this. This is here. You're not quite sure how you arrived there, but you know you're there.
It just happens to you.
Yeah.
It's a feeling, right?
It's an experience, and a feeling, and the great thing about it is that it happens, and the qualities about it is that, and I think they've documented this in scientifically, it's the one thing that helps you actually live in the present. You all of the hormones in your body that are supposed to make you happy all of a sudden light up. They all
Okay,
come.
so you walk into a crowded room. You know the feeling. You're attracted to somebody. Your body knows it before your head. Is that right? Correct? You agree on that? Your body knows it.
I don't know
It
anything
happens.
until after it happens.
So
I
it
don't-
happens. You
I don't
walk
know
in.
anything until after it happens. Then I say, "Wow, that happened." But there's no build up to it. There's no like, okay, I see this. No. All of a sudden, you're in a situation and you're saying, "How did I get here?" That's the great thing about it.
Right. So you walk into a crowded room and you know there's a person you're not going to gravitate to. How do you know that? How do you know that? Energy, right? It just is. I believe in the laws of karma. I count on karma. Karma is my friend. Isaac Newton knew it. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. But there's something going on energetically. Forget about God for a moment. There's something going on in the universe energetically. And it has its own life. And I trust it. Whether it's negative or positive, I trust that the balance is always going to be there. So, you walk into that crowded room, you see a guy over there. It's not just that he's good looking, because you wind up married for 44 years or divorced. And something happens. You create a bond that you didn't plan in advance. We're agreeing so far, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you basically are in a situation that you're very happy to be with. You're feeling very good about. It's one of the few things that happens in your life when you really are not so much interested in your own well-being or your own needs, but you begin to look at somebody else's requirements and their needs. It becomes something that is natural. You feel comfortable. Even people that are considered often not particularly friendly or even nice can experience that. All of a sudden there's someone that makes them want to be a better person.
But it starts as a tickle. And then we join. And once we join with someone else, we have expectations, we have disappointments, and we have great moments of love if we're lucky. And we're able to do that, right?
Well, one of the things we were talking about this is one of the problems, love becomes something that we really are very much engaged by, very happy. It brings us a great deal of happiness. But what happens is that it's an experience that is essentially unownable. It's one of those things in life that has no master. You can't control it, you can't manage it, you can't define it. But what do we do? And I was talking to Luis about it from a male point of view, is we immediately want to own it because we're into owning things, to having proprietary situations. So you really want to own something that you cannot own, that's not ownable, that's not possible to own. So then what do? You don't give up wanting to own it. So then you start owning the dynamic around it. You try to control the person, you try to control the circumstances, you try to do all these things, which generally take you to the place where you guys were talking about before it begins to be a problem. And I think that's one of the issues that we were discussing about this. One of the issues is you can't own something like that. And if that becomes part of your need, your dynamic, then you have a problem that has to do with compassion and balance. Then there are other issues that are entering into your process. We talked about ego, but it's not even just ego, because some people are genuinely want this experience, want to hold it, and they think, well, if I hold this person in this circumstance, then I'll have it forever. And that's not the case. You don't have things forever. Okay? We that's not the kind of situation. You can have it forever if you don't make it like owning it. You can have it if forever if it is something that you accept as being something that you cannot own, cannot control. The minute you start saying, okay, I'm going to own this, that's the beginning, the entropy, right? That's the beginning of the end. That's when the curve starts going down. And it's not just love between men and women, it's in every kind of context. And sometimes it's familiar love. Same dynamic can happen. It could be love of many things. I mean, we've been talking about even, we'll get to this later, even spiritual love can not be imbalanced so that you end up doing things that are not necessarily constructive. So it has to be a situation where you do not try to own it. You don't try to proprietary. You basically accept what it is, and then you can have it.
Yeah.
But you can't own it.
But we become a we. There was, I can't think of the title of the play I used to teach. She says, I want to be, she's 12 years old, the protagonist. I want to be a we. And when we're a we have power. You're smiling. We have power. And then the we has children. Now we really have power. The children may grow to hate us, but we have a lot of power. So it's empowering to join. So what goes wrong, Tony? We have this entropy that happens, the honeymoon's over, we have the golden age of marriage, and then all of a sudden, he disappoints you, you disappoint him, and we have all of this, as Tony was saying, the control issues. You want to add anything else to that nice little package?
It's not just between men and women, it's relationships between siblings, between parent, children, all of that has an arc. And one of the things I always felt when I had children is that they were never mine. They were given to my care, but I don't own them. So whatever love I have from them, or whatever love I have for them, is independent of that dynamic. And I think it's a very important thing to think about. You don't own, they don't belong to you. They don't belong to you. It's not that kind of situation. And it's the same for any kind of relationship that involves love, even transcendent love. You don't own things. You can't own them, and that I think is the same issue we're talking about.
And your children, this is a tough one, are not a reflection of you. They're children. They're souls. They have their own life. Very difficult because we grow up a certain way. I'll speak for myself. I have two sons. One's a doctor. He's not just a doctor. He's a surgeon. He does minimally invasive thoracic surgery and invented it out in California. Whoa. The other one is a lawyer. My friends tease me, it's a Jewish mother's dream. Detaching. That's what you're talking about, right? Detaching from the labels we do. Detaching from they make me, I'm the mother. And people look at you, oh, I don't want that anymore. But there's something old in me that likes it a little bit, So this is where, there's two things, I think. Acceptance of the other person when they're not like you, right? And I have to lower my expectations. If you love me, you'll take out the garbage. Doesn't work. It's not true, right?
Well,
oh, you're not going to disagree with that?
No. I'm just saying that it's the underlying issue in this is, and we talked about it before compassion, one of the things that you have to do in any kind of relationship is you have to walk in the other person's shoes. This is very important for you to really learn and to move along in life. Now, that's kind of hard sometimes when you have a relationship that's intense, that's very emotional. But for me, what I think is one of my superpowers is that I can do it in hindsight. So whatever I do, however foolishly or improperly or unsuccessfully something happens, I'm able to look at it in hindsight and say, this is the truth, the reality of what happened. Not what I wanted to happen, not what I think should have happened, but what it was. And I think that kind of a quality that comes from compassion, right, is the ability to look at the other person's situation and actually understand it. Understand where they come from. Even someone that you really don't agree with and that you don't have any kind of connection with. And there's a lot of people like that these days around in the world that we live in. But what's important is that we need to be able to say, okay, what is happening in that person's dynamic that's making that happen? That doesn't make them a better person, but it makes you more understanding and to a certain extent more compassionate about what exactly is going on. Because it's easy to label someone evil and terrible without understanding. There's been a psychiatric study about people in death row, all these people that have committed heinous crimes, and they're interviewed, and none of them think they're as bad as they are. They all think they're much better, but the circumstances of their life force them to do something very bad. But they don't think that they're bad. Their intentions often weren't bad. Their actions were very bad. So I think it's that understanding that is very important in terms of being able to actually read what's happening with someone, especially someone that you're in a engagement with, a relationship with, a partner, a family member, in any kind of situation. You have to start looking at how they look at it, because otherwise you're basically only projecting your own values onto it.
So what stops people from being compassionate?
Oh, because I want my own way. We want our own way. We want to do things our way. That's one of the things about love. Love, we don't want to do things our own way. We want to do the things the way of someone else. We want to please that other person. We want to do these things. So that's what's great about love. What happens is when we stop wanting to do that, then things begin to get problematic. And at that point, compassion becomes necessary to find out why this person has these tics, why this person has this particular idiosyncrasies.
Yeah. Can we talk about balance? Because I think when we do what Tony was just talking about, there has to be a balance. I can't put the other person first and become a dishcloth or a doormat. And that's, you talked about, gender-related things. That's men are from Mars and women are from Venus. Ever read that book? So true. It's so true. And once I learned that, I had a better marriage because from the most intimate to the most casual, men see the world differently. They did an experiment years ago when I was studying all this stuff with children in a sandbox at the age of 2. Little girls talked and little boys played with trucks. It's a whole different mentality. Look at the big boys now with these snow blowers. My husband, I have to shovel snow. No, he bought a snow blower. He loves it. And he does all 6 neighbors that he can push it to. Okay? All of a sudden, the pain in the back goes away because he's playing with the snow. Oh, he's going to see this. Maybe I won't show him this one. We are on YouTube, So anyway, this compassion thing, it has to be open hand. It has to be, what gets in the way is, if I'm needing something from you, I can't have compassion. Would you?
Well, the thing is, we all have needs. The problem is projecting that need into someone else that may not be able to address it. So it's not a question that needs is a problem. Needs is, we all have needs. It's life is, we have limitations. It's just when you have the need, you want someone else to fill that need, and that may not be the case. The need may be filled with something else. I mean, we're talking about this process of losing yourself, and it's not just romantic love. It could be there's zealots going around that in the name of God want to do these terrible things. They have developed this particular vision of something, and if they forget about other human beings and think that it's just them and God, they're capable of doing things in the name of God that is extremely, extremely bad, or extremely, destructive to themselves or to other people. So it's the whole notion of balance is very important in any kind of relationship, in any kind of context. In our discipline, there is the notion of being detached. Not that you're being separate, but that you're detached in that you're looking at things objectively, that you're looking at things as they are, not as you want them to be, and that based on that, you develop spiritually and you develop in terms of your values. That you don't get into a situation where you're projecting things without really understanding exactly what it is that you're looking for. So if you're detached, you're not in a situation where you're saying, okay, all of these things I want, and here's where I'm going to get them. That's not necessarily how it works. So I think that is one of the critical things, is detachment in any kind of emotional or even spiritual engagement. You need to always have a sense of yourself in this process.
And coming back to the gender issue, I know I'm old enough to have been raised in a traditional home where the woman didn't work. My mother didn't work until we all were much older. And there was always this gender, like an egalitarian, an equal kind of relationship between a man and a woman. I was there for the 60s, Men, you divided the chores in the house, let's say. But the men got the basement and the garage, and the women got to do the laundry, right? Make the beds, cook. So it really wasn't fair. But when you have a relationship between two people, and you want to be selfless and you want to be loving, and what happens when your husband, let's say, traditionally gets, I can do it myself. You're hovering. So that's where I'm segueing to the balance issue, this particular one. And it doesn't have to be just between two humans, but you're really crossing a line and you get to be irritating. So it's not only the husband that's irritating. I'm talking to women today. We have 4 women sitting here. So forgive me, people on Zoom. And I am a woman. So I grew up unlearning this. And let me tell you, I had to bite my tongue because I want to do this for him, because I was trained as a woman to do that. And I am not the way I used to be 25 years ago in a 44-year-old marriage. So it takes balance. You want to love, you love, but there's, I just want to say a little commercial for sticking with it. We've had our hard times. But there is now I'm going to segue into, something more spiritual. No matter what's going on in the world, and we are as different as night and day, and he doesn't subscribe to what I believe in, and blah, blah, blah. But if you stick with it, there grows something that is what I'll call love. And I used to teach very deep love. I used to teach a book called Lies My Father Told Me. I think they made it into a movie. And the line that has guided me in the past, I would say, since I taught it maybe 30 years, the line is, well, I'll tell you first, it's about a little boy whose father is very critical and very frustrated because he is an inventor who is not inventing anything. And he keeps picking on the kid. But Grandpa lives with them. And Grandpa is a very loving man. But he lies to the boy. He says, when the leaves turn color, they live in Canada. He tells the boy, God paints the leaves. The boy is delighted. The grandfather's having fun. The father comes in, crashing, yelling, throwing things. You're lying to him. And the line that I will never forget that has led my early adulthood was, love is the truth, and the truth is love. Everything else is a lie. It's deep. And that's what I see practiced here. We all have basic truths. We don't have to be taught because we're born innately good and happy, we believe, peaceful. So what's innate in us is true. Energy doesn't lie. It could be bad or good. It doesn't lie. And going way back to half an hour ago, you see that person across a crowded room. I believe so, and I trust so, at this point in my life, the laws of karma, that I know my meeting him, that led to whether it's divorce or whether it's to 44 years or whatever it led to, could be females, anybody, parents, whatever. It is correct that you're supposed to be where you are. And the analogy that I love, that I learned years ago by somebody, maybe Gandhi or something, if there was an ant in the corner of this big room and there's a melted popsicle on the floor over here, that ant doesn't know where he's going to end up, but we do. Think about it. So I believe in the order. Karmic laws are perfect. Balance. Balance. We're talking about balance today. Balance is perfect. And I can count on it. And that for me is a universal truth.
Well, talk about karmic balance. Coming from a kind of a physical science background, I'm an architect, so one of the things someone mentioned, I think it was Brij Mohan, Brother Brij Mohan, is that we have defined the world of physics, the universe, in very, very precise terms, starting with Isaac Newton. There are probably people before him, but he's the best example, because he says that for everything in the universe there is an action, reaction, a static, movement, inertia. So there is a structure, almost mathematical structure to the universe. And for those of us that are in the physics world, it's very important. It has a lot of precision in it. And karma is when you apply those Newtonian laws to a moral value system. In other words, that evil and good are going to have some sort of reconciliation. And that is one of the things that one of the classes that I had here, well, I was actually in India, in which they said, so there is the same exact mathematical precision exists spiritually. So you do something either in this life or in a previous life, but even in this life, sooner or later there has to be a reconciliation of it. If you're lucky, you do it in this life. you're not lucky, then you have to deal with this in a much more complicated and more difficult. So the whole notion of karma is, we feel, is very, very precise, mathematical, almost mathematical dynamic that we can measure in the physical world, but there is a moral equivalent to it. So whatever you do to hurt someone, and whatever you do to help someone, to make someone happy, these are things that have a lot of momentum in them, like physics. So that karma is something that you take the laws of physics and you apply a moral dimension to them, and you have a spiritual understanding of how we exist in this world. So you go to a crowded room, and you see someone that eventually you end up with. It's part of the karmic balance, all right? And so that I agree is one of the things that we need to kind of think about. We don't get all these places just by accident. Things happen for reasons. Then we're not just random elements in the universe.
And the coolest thing, maybe, that I've learned here is that even a horrible situation, how many times have you had bad things happen and you look back on it? Thank you. Thank you that it happened. Because I believe that there's always, in the worst case scenario, so far, I mean, who knows how bad this can get, but, you know, there's always the invitation for me to elevate out of it. And think about it. If all Superman had to do was cross little old ladies across the street, he would not know he was super. So all those terrible things that have happened in my life, oh, and I love that quote. Is it Merton? There have been some terrible things in my life, and some of them have actually happened. So we conjure up all these things in our heads, right? Thomas Merton, I think.
Oh,
I think so.
the philosopher.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have this opportunity to grow from anything. But I spend a lot of time growing from things I do wrong. Trial and error is highly underrated in this day and age. You got to get it right. You got to get it right the first time. You know, millennials. Anyway, so we're talking about balance. We're segueing into that, and I think it's really important. You know, we were talking, and Tony, you said love can make you take actions that are extreme, and that we need a balance in. You want to go into that a little bit? But wait, before you do you have anything you want to say? I have a mic, a handheld mic. Would anyone like to ask a question?
This is supposed to be an interactive session. We were not supposed to be us talking up here, but
Yeah.
the other people
Would you like
did
to?
not come.
I could use the exercise.
Yeah, go ahead. If you go there, they'll feel obliged to
think?
speak.
Yeah? I don't want to oblige them. No. Okay, Sister Kamala, you want to add anything? Or say anything? Okay, later? Okay. Okay, good.
So what are we?
You had said that sometimes love can make you lose that balance, and you can take an action that is extreme,
Well,
and that you need a framework.
Yeah. Love, if it's an emotion that does not have any kind of defining qualities to it, if it's just something you feel, something overcomes you, first and foremost, is it requited? Is the person that you love someone that loves you? Now, if that's not the case, you got a big problem, right? That's an issue, and that can make people do very bad things, or not, or just foolish things, not just bad things, but foolish things. So, the issue of balance is that it cannot be something that is just, okay, this is what I have. I have this experience, this feeling, but the person that I'm provoking it is not part of that experience. Then you have to rethink the whole process. You have to see, because that can lead you to do something that can be. I was never, speaking about men and women, I was never a fan of chasing after women or when I was young and just insisting. And to me, unless there was a response, there was nothing, you know?
Sayonara.
There was no, it's not, it was just not, it was not, I never understood people that pursued. Maybe that's the quality of my own qualities, that I don't feel that that kind of chasing is really appropriate. So it has to be something that's requited. And we talked about that. All the great poetry in literature is about unrequited love. Because when you have requited love, you don't need poetry, you don't need anything, you have everything. So that's one of the issues. And the other issue we talked about earlier is when you have this passion, let's say even what you feel is spiritual passion, and you want to do, you know, things, you want to go out, proselytize, you want to go out and make a statement, do the spread the word of God. You have to do that with a certain kind of balance and careful, because if you don't, you basically chase people away. And in our classes, to make that very clear, don't chase them away. If you want to talk about it, do it in a way that at least engages them. Don't do it in a way that basically turns them off.
Feel their pulse.
So when you get overwhelmed by your emotions, things that you feel are love, and you don't think about this in a sort of detached and balanced way, things can go very badly awry. And that's one of the things that, for me, for example, I think that there's like, faith has a tripod, okay? You have to have faith in yourself, faith in others, and then faith in God, or something transcendent. But faith in God is what we feel is the third. You need all three, okay? You need the other people, which we call the family. You need to have faith in yourself, and you have faith in God. If you're missing one of these things, you have a problem. You're not complete. You're not whole. It's very important, because only when you have those three things are you in a context that can really reward you and help you grow and help you learn. Because if you're only in two of those, then, you know, if it's yourself and others, and those others disappoint you, then you end up nowhere, you know. And if you have faith in God and in yourself and not in others, then you can do things to others in the name of God that are not particularly constructive and not positive. So these kinds of things are important in terms of balance. Where exactly do we land? So tripod is, again, physical. Tripod is a very stable structure.
Can you talk a little bit about what faith in yourself means?
Faith in yourself means that you are, you have self-respect. You consider yourself to be someone that has value, as opposed to having no sense of yourself, being insecure. So, and we all have qualities of insecurity and sometimes exaggerated sense of ourselves and being arrogant and what have you. That's all in a continuum. But faith in yourself means that you have a sense of yourself, a sense of a respect for yourself, a sense of your own worth. Not an exaggerated thing, but that you are something of consequence in your own, at least in your own life. And generally, that means you're a consequence in other people's lives. So that's really, faith in yourself is really, we're talking about self-respect.
So going back to that married couple and the honeymoon's over, imagine two people with low self-esteem together, and how quickly we extinguish the flame. Because you have to have something to give it away, right? And we don't. It's tough. I just wanted to, here we believe in that you're not a body, you're a soul. First time here and you got that already, huh? Okay. Good. Oh, Shivani, you, right? Right. So, not only that, we're an eternal soul. The body, we change. I've been a man, I've been a woman, I've been different races, I've lived in all over the planet. And we believe that it's kind of exciting, but it's also a long journey of carrying with us and declining. So what we're in now is really tough, but it's always an opportunity to elevate, as we said before, you know? You want to add anything to that? So the faith in self.
It's very important that we understand what's the balance, okay? We are a spirit, we are a soul. We animate the body. And anima is the Latin word for soul. And to me, I'm very fond of looking at words' origin. So we are a soul that animates a body. We're not a body that contains a soul. Although sometimes we act that way, but that's not the reality. It is the soul, it is the anima that gives the body its qualities. And I think that's really critical thing, that we are embodied souls. We exist in a body, and we exist in the body for a purpose. I mean, we're not just exist in a body and piece of inert matter. No, we are animated for a reason. We move, we think, we function because there is a purpose in our existence. And part of what we like to believe here is that we help understand what some of that purpose might be. Okay, so you're in your soul in a body, and you're in it for a reason, and that reason is to find a purpose for yourself. And there's daughter, son, mother, sibling, father, wife, grandfather, boss, subordinate. There's whole kinds of things going on that we all experience in life. That's part of your journey. And obviously we think this is also part of your journey, and a defining part. But that happens only if you understand that you're a soul in the body. That has really the key thing. That is what animates your existence, the soul in the body. And that is really the key thing. Only at that point can you begin to look at other people, begin to look at spirituality. Because spirituality is spirit, right? Spirit means your spirit, your soul. Without that, there is no spirituality. There is no talk of spirituality cannot even be discussed unless you accept the fact that you are a spirit. And that is the beginning of the discussion that we like to have here. So it's very important that the soul is in the body, not the reverse.
And we talk about body consciousness, you know this, versus soul consciousness. So what's body consciousness? It's where we are most of the time, unless you come here a lot. Someone does something, you don't like it, you wind up having words over it, or you're putting on makeup in the morning, looking in the mirror, and you're body conscious. How do I look? What should I wear? Okay. But at any moment that things are not going the way I wanted to, if somebody offends me, let's say, I don't like what they did, instead of attacking, I have a choice to go into what I call soul consciousness, and you'll never see it. I've done it internally, and I flip a switch, and you don't know that I'm not with you anymore. I'm not going to engage. People sit there, especially if you used to be aggressive, like I was. I had to be right. People look at you, they expect you to fight. And if you don't, you know who really pays attention? Your children. About 15 years ago. No, I was here. No, I wasn't here yet. Yes, I was. Okay, so it's a shorter time. My son turned to me out of the blue, the surgeon in California, and he says, "Ma, I know you don't like to fight." He lives 3,000 miles away. How does he know this? He calls his mom on Sundays, very lovely. How did he know I don't like to fight? I never called him up and said, "Listen, I've changed. I don't fight anymore. I don't fight with anybody." So there's a beauty in detaching, to use the word we use a lot around here, and witnessing, sitting in the front row and watching the scene that you don't like that's going on. My husband cannot understand how I don't viscerally get upset by this world. This comes under the category of things I cannot change. The only thing I can change, myself. Myself. So what I learn here, more than dogma or, dharna or, well, that too, but what I learn here is how to live according to my higher self, my virtues, my compassion, my balance, my lightness at a time when things are not. And he's gone to a place where I want to say he respects it, even though he's watching the news and I don't. I'm on a need-to-know basis, CNN in the morning is enough for me. But I think he's also starting to envy it. Yeah. So balance. We done with balance, or?
Well, body consciousness is not just ego projection, because most of us know when we're kind of projecting ourselves, we're making an issue of something. We can tell. There's a more subtle, and in my feeling, a more pernicious quality to body consciousness is that when there are needs that are projected on you, the people that you're taking care of, you're dealing with, and they have issues, and you make them your own, instead of just helping them, but you assume their frustration, their anger, their sorrow, That's a very, very subtle but extreme deep part of body consciousness that we go into very easily. And it's extremely hard to come out of. And I speak from personal experience on this. You really get sucked in to other people's dynamics. And then you think, well, I'm being a good person, I'm helping them, I'm doing something for them, but in many ways you're just assuming their burden, and that's a form of body consciousness. It's not just saying, okay, how do I look? What kind of impression am I making? There's a lot of qualities to it, and we can get easily sucked in, because any kind of course in self-development, people can begin to say, okay, all right, I know I'm projecting and I have to be, more objective and what have you, but it's very hard to get to the core of taking on other people's responsibilities and burdens. That is also body consciousness, and that is a lot tougher to get rid of. You don't get that at a self-help course, okay? That doesn't happen from going to, one of these, psycho, you really have to work on that through your own sense of yourself and your own spiritual and value system, because you're doing something right, you're helping someone, you're doing something important. Meanwhile, it becomes a burden to you, and it becomes part of your projection. Kamala, were you going to say something?
Did you want to say something? Okay. If you want to, I have to give you the mic, all right? You want to come? Zoom can't hear you.
Sorry, I think you both covered what I had in mind, but of course we don't have the time to go deeper into the subject of how do you make it happen? What is the awareness I should have for another person in order to develop the respect? because we're talking about love and compassion and all of that. So it's much deeper than in a physical way you want to just show respect to a person, but it comes from a deeper place of consciousness. And how do we grow that? How do we develop that? And I think it's, I feel personally, it's to have the unlimited wisdom, you know, because we live in boxes, but how do we get that wisdom so that we can see things differently in ourselves, in people, in situations, and not get affected by that? But I think you both covered a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll admit I tend to disrespect people who don't do things my way. It's amazing how I can see my husband, for example, with different eyes, without going into any details, and really have a deep respect for things I never thought about before, because I got out of the way. I got out of the way. He's one of the most kind, compassionate people I've ever met, and I watched him interacting with a family member, and he was so sweet. I would have gotten so upset, you know, helping someone and they're not doing it my way. He teaches me. Well, I just looked at the clock, and
We have 5 minutes left.
we have less, I think, or maybe 5. Okay.
5 minutes left. I was looking at this clock and I was
Oh,
saying,
no, that's
boy, we are
wrong.
really talking very slow.
Yeah.
It's just that the clock is stopped. I was saying, how are we not
Right.
talking for like 20 minutes and it's still, just realized it
Yeah.
stopped.
And before you leave, we have a blessing card and a Tolia sweet that we give you on the way out. But before that, and I also want to tell you that our guest next week is absolutely Sister Kamla, who is going to talk about the state of the world and the state of our minds, right? Yes, one mirrors the other, right? So what we can do about it, okay? But first, number one around here is the teaching of what we call Raj Yoga meditation. And it's an open-eyed, I meant to say that before, it's an open-eyed meditation. And that's part of my detachment, is the ability to do it while I'm walking and talking. We don't go into a room in the morning and then come out and get into full-blown body consciousness. Hopefully, we don't do that. So, Brother Tony, would you lead us in a guided
okay.
meditation of maybe 3 minutes or so?
All right, very good.
Okay? All right.
We focus our consciousness inward towards the center of our being. We fix on that focus, and then we gently let it drop deeper and deeper into our being. Letting go of our limbs, of our sense of our bodies, going deeper until there is no border between ourselves and our outside world. It dissolves as we keep falling gently into the center of our being, sensing the distinct nature of our existence. completely separate from all that is around us and all who are around us. Until we have left behind all consciousness of anything but ourself, our true self. Om Shanti.
An announcement, everyone. So next Saturday, it's the 28th, from 10 to 12 here at Global Harmony House, we're going to be having a heart-to-heart conversation. And it's a really wonderful experience because we've done it in many places, in Boston, in New Jersey, and it's where people come together to have a discussion. Things that's in the heart with each other. So it's not a lecture or a talk as such, but it's where bring people together so they can discuss real life situation and also the solutions to it, at least for that while. No, it's for men and women. And it's here in person, Global Harmony House, 10 to 12 noon, here. Sorry? Yes, in the seminar room, in the bookshop area. You can check it. Yes, in the bookshop area. So I hope we see you.
Go in the bookshop entrance for it. And we haven't done it in a while. And we usually get a very nice group. So 10 to 12, I believe, right? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Ready to go home? Thank you for coming. Om Shanti. Om Shanti.